In today's episode of the Path Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Bethany Quinn, and she is the VP of Strategy and Content Development at Golden Shovel, a very interesting agency that's specifically focused on the economic development industry and to driving new approaches to drive growth in these areas. So today we want to really deep dive with Bethany into what Golden Shovel is all about and her approach on growth. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today, Lucas. I look forward to having a conversation with you.
Of course. So maybe let people know, 360 high level overview. What is Golden Shovel all about in your own words?
Yeah, thank you. So Golden Shovel is a full service communication and marketing company that I would say is half marketing and half technology. And we focus specifically in the economic development space. So our clients are state economic development agencies, counties, regional organizations, cities, townships, and also we have clients internationally as well. So our clients' goals are to bring investment into their communities, whether that means new development projects or business attraction and expansion activities, or attracting talent to their communities.
Makes sense. And it's very interesting focus specifically for a marketing agency or a marketing team. Now, what would you say, the people within those organizations, how would you describe them to us? What is a typical role of somebody who's reaching out? Is that a marketeer for those organizations? Is that coming from leadership there who really needs that marketing muscle? Like, who is bringing Golden Shovel on board typically?
Yeah, great question. So it's interesting because economic development organizations, they have the appearance of being quite large because they're typically funded through a combination of public dollars and private investment dollars. But inside a typical organization, you really have a small team. They often will not have anyone internally that is specifically tasked with marketing, which is why they hire us to be their marketing arm. An economic developer's job is very diverse because they have to attract a wide variety of investment to the community. They have to lobby legislatively. They have to work with their local governments to have things changed at the zoning levels, for example, or try to increase infrastructure capabilities. So because they have so much they have to do, the idea that they could simultaneously have time to market their community in order to have those conversations, it's just not very possible. So they hire us to market them in their entirety.
Yep, makes a lot of sense and very, very interesting and very actually interesting to see that sometimes behind those bigger institutions, there's a smaller marketing team that really, or no marketing team that needs that support. Now, how would you say, do these folks actually learn about Golden Shovel? Like, what would be sort of their journey looking like in terms of maybe the channels that they walk through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. So our company takes multifaceted approach to this. We still speak at conferences and we go to trade shows. We also do outbound calling still, which I would say is kind of more the old school marketing way, but that's very expensive and very time consuming. So we have also put as much energy towards our inbound strategy. And we really focus on creating thought leadership content. So when we do that, we create white papers and case studies on really pressing issues that economic developers care about, not marketing per se, but things like how to solve the housing shortage for your community. And then as part of that campaign, we will also host webinars. We will speak at different events in person. We will obviously run a social media campaign, a digital ad campaign, and everything directs back to the landing page where people can enter their information to download that free resource and guide, which has been very well researched and includes information on best practices from what's working typically throughout North America. So when people download that, then they're put into our funnel where they are part of receiving an email drip campaign. So we're following up with them very regularly, encouraging them to book those appointments online for our sales team to have conversations. And we take the same approach for our clients when they're trying to attract other businesses to their communities by really thinking through what those businesses care about and providing case studies and thought leadership content that would appeal to them.
Gotcha. And if we're talking right on the point there on sort of that experience that your clients will then provide with the help of Golden Shovel, is there something that you see? Is there a shift in technology recently? Is there something, that really works well in the economic development industry? Latest technologies being leveraged in that journeys. What do you see in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So Golden Shovel pioneered virtual reality in the economic development space 6 years ago. And as the technology has improved, so has our offerings and the way that economic developers can use VR to interact with prospects. So it's a very important piece of technology for the industry, because if you consider this, if you are a Chicago trying to attract people to your community, there's a really good chance people have visited your city already. Maybe they know someone who lives there. They've certainly seen your city on TV or in movies. So you don't have to do a lot of selling in regards to situating who you are and what you're about. If by comparison, you're in that exact same state, but you're a rural community in Illinois who maybe has 10,000 people in their population, the chance of someone ever hearing of you, very low. The chance of them having ever visited, almost zero. And the chance of convincing them to do so, very difficult, right? Because you're not a major area that's going to draw tourists in. So virtual reality is being used by us to create these virtual familiarization tours where people can put on their headset, they can put on their VR goggles, and they can actually walk through the community. They can go into their local cafes, they can visit the school system, they can see the parks and activities, and all of a sudden, without spending any money, people have come to visit your community. Now it's possible to sell them on the reasons why they should move there, bring their business, or invest. We're doing that same type of work when it comes to workforce attraction and development as well. And that's been very powerful, especially with students, because economic developers need to grow their workforce and attract people to work for local companies. It's very difficult to get people to come in for tours. Who's going to want to take an afternoon and go tour a facility? Not very many people, but kids are lining up at these career fairs to put on the goggles because they're super cool. And now they're actually touring facilities, and they're even experimenting with using equipment. So now there's career opportunities that they're exposed to they never thought was possible. So VR is incredibly exciting for our industry.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Very, very interesting, and a very interesting approach to sort of driving conversions on the page. Now, I'd love to learn a little bit more about in general with your clients and your just your career. Like when it comes to actually driving conversions. Now you brought in an interesting technology to get people started. Is there anything else that you've picked up over the years when it comes to driving, signups and you were actually describing the lead generation on Golden Shovel's page? Anything that you've picked up over the years that you found to be helpful? Any methods, approaches, technologies?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think you really hit the nail on the head when talking about what Pathmark does and the fact that people go to the page and typically don't convert. So knowing that, we obviously try to reach people over and over and over again. Economic development is a long sale. This is not B2B where somebody might be searching for a kitchen gadget. They Google you, they're going to go to the page, they're going to buy from you, or they're going to buy from your competitor. It's not that way. The sales process in economic development can take years. You have to stay in front of people. For example, if you're going to bring in a company that's bringing 500 jobs to your community, that's not an instant decision. So that's why the thought leadership and inbound marketing is so critically important for what we do, because we need to make sure that we continue and our clients continue to provide valuable resources. And that way we are top of mind, or our clients are top of mind within that niche industry.
That makes a lot of sense. As we spoke quite a bit about already what you guys are doing and who you're serving, I would love to switch gears slightly and talk about your journey as a marketer, Bethany. So basically, the first thing that I'm curious about is, right, there's so much content out there for marketers, right? There's so much podcasts, there is books, I mean, everything, of course. So where do you find personally, high quality information for yourself with all the noise out there as a marketer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that within our economic development industry, IEDC is a fantastic resource. They're an international organization, very well acclaimed. As for me personally, I try to read research papers as frequently as I can, which maybe is a little bit unique. I'm less inclined to maybe go to a blog as I am to search for something in Google Scholar and actually see what research is being done to even back up, for example, what you're doing on the page. I mean, that's data-driven insight. There's no way that you guys created your solution without actually running tests and gathering that data. So I think that's incredibly important for marketers because all of us have content teams. We know what content teams do. We need to actually talk to the scientists and figure out what's happening on the technology and research side behind the noise. And that is incumbent upon us to do our own research.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, I got some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for today as we slowly coming to the end of the interview. You ready for those?
Go ahead.
What is the last book that you read?
Oh, I am reading right now The Alchemist. It's my favorite book. I reread it every year and it's January. So there you go.
Very good. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
At the moment, we are most focused on creating additional ways for people to interact virtually in order to have those community experiences. So really tapping into VR more fully.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing that you would fix for your role as a marketer? You have a magic wand.
Ooh, if I had a magic wand, I would make it so that everything spoke to each other. All of us still are using multiple systems, and I think we waste a lot of time by things not just seamlessly integrating.
And for the very last question, I'd like to do a little bit of time travel, if you allow. Let's go back to the days of Penn State, right? So you're heading out of formal education into the world of business, growth, and marketing. I think you're a writer as well. What would be the one advice that you would give yourself for your journey as a marketer?
Never stop learning, because things change so incredibly quickly. If you think that you have it figured out and you feel like it's okay to be complacent, you're wrong. You need to keep learning, you need to keep reading, you need to keep researching because things will change faster than you realize.
Very good. Bethany, I really appreciate you took the time with us to be a guest on Pathong Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If people would be forgetting all that we discussed about Golden Shovel today, what's the one thing they should definitely take away?
Well, I would encourage anyone who is interested in learning about economic development, learning about how we can solve some of the challenges that are very pressing and facing our communities, to visit Golden Shovel and view our thought leadership content. We'd love for you to interact with us that way, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathong Presents.